We did it. We did it. We set out on the Curtain Call here on the Curtain Call podcast this month for Man on Second. We set out to get 1 million views on the channel for the whole month of March. Bold prediction. I said, my goal was to get 1 million views in the month of March after getting 432,000 views in February. So I set a pretty high bar, pretty high standard here we have on the channel. My wife thought I was stupid to come on the record and say we're shooting for it. But guess what, folks? Here, we're recording this on Sunday. On Saturday night, about 10 o'clock at night, we passed the 1 million view mark for the month of March. Congratulations to you guys, the audience, for embracing what we're doing here, because what 1 million views means is that much exposure for the athletes that we are, highlighting every week, every day here on the Man on Second YouTube channel. So we did it. That's why I'm wearing my Joe Namath shirt. I get a look here. My guarantee, Joe Namath guaranteed it. Alabama great, Joe Namath, New York Jet great, Hall of Famer. I, of course, went to Alabama, so Joe Namath is important to me. So those who don't know Joe Namath will look him up. Super Bowl III, long odds. The New York Jets were not supposed to be on the field with the Baltimore Colts. Yes, they were the Baltimore Colts back then. And he guaranteed it. And it delivered. So I'm in the Joe Namath, bragging mood here today on the channel. But again, it's, I'm out there hustling every day. I did, 7 games in 5 days last week. It's pretty much on par because of 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock games. I could get to 2 games on a couple of days when I choose to go out and pound the pavement in that way. But yet again, Man on Second YouTube channel, 1 million views for the month of March. And folks, we are just getting started with it because we're about 1.8 million views roughly as we're closing in on the year. Obviously, this is going to be the busy time because it's the high school baseball season. That's when the most action's going. That's when I'm getting most of these videos. But again, please like and subscribe to the channel because this channel is for the student athletes, the high school athletes. We do everything. I'll do college, I'll do major league, I'll do the prospects. But the lane that seems to be the most popular is the high school level, and that's where I'm having the most fun. We're pretty much, when you think about it, this is a South Florida only, basically 90% Broward County coverage, and we are producing YouTube numbers that more established, more heavily financed. This is just me with an iPhone and a action camera, my Insta360, and I am just dominating the field, outdrawing the Marlin sites by a lot, and others, and those guys just got to work harder. You got to have a product that people want to see. Thankful for those who want to see this product. But again, please like and subscribe here on the Curtain Call. Now, enough of the preliminaries. Again, like, subscribe, because that matters to get as much exposure for these athletes as we can. I'm going to highlight, we're going to recap last week. An exciting week, and it was kind of what I'm noticing. I'll get into some themes after I talk about some of the games I saw. People are paying attention. Run production is way up. And I think that has a lot to do with the hitters' timing is there, but a lot of pitchers, 3 games a week, really taking its toll on pitching. It's starting to break down a little bit. Some big teams are minus some of their best pitchers due to various ailments. But we'll talk about that more because that's going to really play havoc. And it's going to be a war of attrition to see as we get into April. And then we get into May for the playoffs and ultimately the state championships, which teams can hold up. But it's funny. I'm talking about the offense being the show in this past about 10 days, or I would say, of the high school season here in South Florida. But we're going to start with the first game I saw last week, and that was Jupiter High coming down to play Nova at Nova in Davie. And what did I see that day? A no-hitter. So that day we saw Ethan Trivison. Remember the name. Trivison, Ethan, about a 6'4" left-hander, junior, class of 2026, commit to Clemson. On point. Now he had a 5-inning no-hitter because Jupiter did run rule Nova. they won 12-0 that day. The only batter to reach for Nova was a hit by pitch on a ball that just kind of grazed the hitter. I believe it was the fourth inning, had to be because the game was only 5 innings for Ethan to throw. But this kid had 8 strikeouts. A lot to like about Ethan Trivison. For one, he's a very difficult look for hitters, righties and lefties. Good luck, because it is not a fun at bat if you're going against this kid. Like I said, about 6'4", very, it's basically elbows and knees coming at hitters. And, again, a very, very tough look. And I got some footage of one of his pitches. Let's bring in a little highlight here of Ethan. Let's see. Yeah, here he is. Let's rerun that. Let's run that back. Look at this kid. Boom. He has a slider and a curveball. And so that could come at you, in 2 different angles. The fastball, I'm hearing it gets up to 91, but he's still growing and he's still developing velocity. He probably, from the eye test, looked to be about 85-ish, and that was plenty fast. And keep in mind, when you're as tall as this kid is, and you're deceptive, and you're getting down the hill, down the mound, he seems to be on the hitters before they even know what's coming at him. Let's take a few more looks at Ethan getting a swing and strike on a curveball in the outside corner. But yeah, really, really nice looking pitcher. Very impressed with Ethan Trivison. The question will be how he's used in the where am I? There I am. How he's used in the playoffs. Very good team, Jupiter High. Let's talk a little bit about some of their hitters for Jupiter High. Ryan Senecal had a great game. He had 4 hits that day. Really good. I like his compact swing. He hits the ball hard. Griffin Miller, a junior who's a Tennessee commit, really good looking player. Miller, Colton Schwartz, senior, Florida commit, shortstop. He had been suspended a few games. He came back and played in that one. And Gabe Grulau, Graulau, Grulau, South Florida commit. Really good looking athlete. He's a little bit of a slump, but you don't worry about, guys that talented. As long as they stay focused, they should pull through it and they should be fine. But Jupiter, a really good team, but they did run into a buzzsaw a few days later. We'll get into that in a little bit here on the channel. Now, let me take you to my Tuesday. What did I do on Tuesday? I was over at Stoneman Douglas. Always good to see the Eagles. They were at Flanagan. Stoneman Douglas, who's my #1 team on my SB Live. That's the High School on Sports Illustrated, High School on SI. They're #1 in our poll. I encourage everyone, please, go on to the site. It used to be Scorebook Live. It's now Sports Illustrated's high school division. I do the state of Florida. I do the state top 25. So please read my stories on my polls. And Douglas there, the Eagles now are 15-1. I think they won like 14 straight. But whenever you get to see Stoneman Douglas, it's always a treat. They're really starting to get their identity. They've really found themselves. They're clicking on everything. Their pitching has been great all year. And if they win it all for a 5th straight year, it's probably going to be because of that pitching. But the hitting has really come on as well. But Stoneman Douglas, they're playing pretty much flawless baseball right now. And it's always good. Let me call this guy up, because it's always reassuring if you're Stoneman Douglas when you could throw this guy, probably the best pitcher in South Florida, junior Gio Rojas. As you can see, lighting, a little frustrating because of where you are at Flanagan with the later time now, where the sun goes down later. So a lot of glare. Basically, all the good videos I got from this game came like he pitched 3 innings because they were in such command of the game. They got him out of there. Pretty much the 4th inning, the sun went down, and the quality of the videos looked better. But I hope you guys could see it and just see how easy and how good Gio Rojas is. I think that's a slider he threw in the outside part of the plate. Gio faced 9 batters that day, struck out 5, didn't allow a base runner. And it was 11-0 for the Eagles. Stoneman Douglas. Flanagan's really struggling right now. But But Gio again, 9 straight up, 9 up, 9 down, 5 Ks. Drew Freeman, the catcher. I can't say enough good about Drew Freeman. Very impressed with his entire game. When you look on the field and you want to see what a ball player looks like, Drew Freeman is definitely that. The way he handles the pitching, the leadership he shows, and hitting in this game. Drew had 2 hits and 3 RBIs against Flanagan. And the next night they played. Douglas went and played at home against Archbishop McCarthy, another team a young team that's really kind of having their struggles right now. But Douglas won that game 16-2. Drew Freeman hit a homer in that game, drove in 6. So again, I want to single out the players that really are standing out to me, not just so much with how they perform. Their numbers are their numbers, and they're important, no doubt. But I look and see leadership. I look and see, when you're up big, like Douglas often is, do you lose that edge? When your pitchers are in the dugout a long time after a big inning. Guys like Drew Freeman do not allow letdowns because they keep everyone engaged. They're laser focused. Louisville commit and Drew Freeman, again, can't say enough good about Drew. He's handling Gio right here. But, when you have Gio Rojas, that certainly makes your day a lot easier. And the Stoneman Douglas Eagles are making things look pretty easy right now. But it's going to get a little tougher for them this week because Douglas has a game up at Jesuit. I know we're in spring break now here in South Florida, so a lot of our teams are from down here are dispersing around the state and then playing in various tournaments or facing quality teams. And Douglas is going up to play Jesuit. Last year, Jesuit was supposed to play down here. They were all set to play that game, but it got rained out. So I was a little disappointed I didn't see that game last year. That would have been a really good game to see. But this year, hopefully weather accommodates. Douglas is going to go up and play the Tampa Jesuit. They're like a top 10 caliber team. So that's going to be one of the biggest games of the week in the state of Florida. A few other players we want to single out. Nick Diaz is having a really good, he's really heating up. Against Flanagan, he scored 4 runs. Jake Rizzo, can't say enough good about Jake Rizzo. He's kind of been an igniter as this Douglas team is, looking for more depth in that lineup to keep rallies going, to make things happen. Jake Rizzo has really been a force at the plate. And, for teams like Douglas, it might seem easy because, they've won so many titles. But keep this in mind. They just won 4 straight state titles with a veteran team, and a core about 4 or 5 of those players were starters as freshmen. So they only won. And when you look at those position players, we're looking at Alex Rodriguez, their center fielder, Nico Benestat, their catcher first baseman, Rylan Lujo, their third baseman, and of course Devin Fitzgerald, Todd Fitzgerald, the coach's son. And he was shortstop on those teams. Of that group, A-Rod is at UCF right now. Benestat's at South Florida. Lujo is at Dayton. And Devin Fitzgerald he got drafted and he signed with the Texas Rangers. So he's playing pro ball. So the players now, like the position players specifically, they pretty much last year were more the middle, more the bottom of the order guys, the 5th through 9 hole hitters. And the identity and the leadership came from the 4 players I was mentioning, so well versed in playing in high profile, high leverage games. The moments never got too big for them. So I wasn't a little shocked that the first 7 to 10 games for Douglas was who's going to be the leaders, who's going to step up, who's going to be the guy or the guys that are going to kind of embrace the moment to keep the tradition of Stoneman Douglas, going forward. Freeman's been there all year. But, Nick Diaz is, he was huge in the state playoffs last year, a walk-off hit in the championship game, a home run in the semifinals. But, Nick is turning it on now. Bennett Gary at the top of the order, he's been a constant, guy who gets things going. You could go up and down the order. They're really, really talented, but did want to single out Jake Rizzo. As for McCarthy, they're going through. I also want to give mention to in the McCarthy game. Obviously, I mentioned Drew Freeman homered in that game. but Matt Toback also homered. So props to Matt. He's one of their underclassmen. He will be part of next year as they look to kind of keep the momentum going. But they want to give a little bit of note to Matt Toback as well. From McCarthy, young team, as I said, they're taking their lumps. They're playing a very tough schedule. Juan Serra, though, let's signal out left-handed hitter Juan Serra, hitting the ball well. He had a good game against Douglas, and when you're losing, what did I say? It was 16-2, I think was the final. Yeah, it's kind of a rough day for you for the Mavericks, but we'll kind of catch up with them in the next couple of weeks, and as we get to districts where it's kind of a new game. When as the season gets more intense and we see where this is all going. So that takes me now to Wednesday. Wednesday was a fascinating game because West Broward is, to me, one of the scrappier type teams, quality team, a lot of real high quality juniors on that team. But they ran into probably the biggest buzzsaw in the county right now, St. Thomas Aquinas. I didn't have them in my top 25 because, frankly, it's hard. I can't just overload it with South Florida teams, although I want to. But I'm balancing the state out the best I can with these rankings. But what you do, what St. Thomas just did, trust me, folks, they will be in the top 25 when it's released tomorrow. I'll tell you. I won't tell you where. You have to read the story to find that out. But this is what all St. Thomas did last week. 15-0 to West Broward. 15 runs means you could end the game in 4 innings. They did that. 16-0 against MacArthur and 19-5 against Jupiter. That just let that sink in. 19-5 against a state-ranked team, a team that thinks that it can get all the way to the state semifinals. And when you're putting that type of offensive explosion out there, in that 19-5 game, Andrew Alvarez had a double, triple, and a home run, a single from the cycle, 6 RBIs. Congratulations, Andrew. But the game against West Broward was stunning because West Broward is much, much better than they looked that night. But you run into a team with a lot of firepower, 1 through 9. St. Thomas may have the best hitting lineup in Broward County right now. And we're going to show you a guy who was a little bit in a slump, and everyone's getting a little panicky. But this is all he did against West Broward. Come on, let's get this going. What are you doing for me? Oh, don't tell me I missed it. I think I messed that up. I think I put the still instead of the video of that was Johnny Lopez. He hit a grand slam. So sorry about that for the tease. I got a photo instead of the video went there. Let me try again. Let's see if it's just taking a little while to load up. There we go. No, I got it right. Sorry about that, folks. But Johnny Lopez, okay. Thought I had a little flub there, but came through. Johnny Lopez, like I said, Florida Atlantic pitcher, shortstop, and amazing hitter. Another guy who was in a bit of a slump. Those who pay attention to batting average, I don't tend to not for high school players, especially after 10 games. I don't get all that worked up, especially guys with track record over, but this kid can swing the bat. He can hit. Like I said, the grand slam right here against West Broward. That really, I think it was the second inning, whatever. Maybe it was the first inning, but it just kind of made a 2-0 game like a 6-0 game. And so, hats off to Johnny Lopez. Cole Lasher also hit a grand slam in that game against West Broward. And ironically, in the bottom of the 4th inning, it was 11-0 with 2 outs. And I think it was Andrew Alvarez drew a 2-out walk, or Johnny Lopez got a 2-out hit after Andrew Alvarez walked. Either way, it got Cole Lasher to the plate with the bases loaded, and Cole sent everybody home with a grand slam. West Broward, for their, they played a bunch of games in a short period of time. They bounced back a day or so later and beat Western on the road 5-2. So the Bobcats are playing well. This is a game they want to forget, obviously. But when you see what St. Thomas is doing, only question you have is you don't want to get too hot too fast and then cool off. But that type of lineup is very good that the Raiders have. They got Jaden Doverspike back. He had been hurt. That just makes their lineup even better. That team is really good. If their pitching holds up, it could be a very fun ride for St. Thomas. Also want to note, pitcher Julian Diaz really threw well against West Broward. Obviously, when you're winning 15-0, you have a ton of run support. But sometimes those are hard games to pitch because you're sitting in the dugout so long. I don't know if he got up and threw, in the back or so because they're playing at home. Maybe they just go into where their bullpen is away from the field and to keep his arm loose. But he really stayed locked in. He just allowed 2 hits. He struck out 5. He may have walked a couple, but nothing. He was never really in trouble. And hats off to Julian Diaz for doing a great job there. Staying focused in a game where sometimes that's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Let's go over to Thursday. I did catch a doubleheader because I was at Chaminade Madonna against St. John Paul II Academy out of Boca Raton. Got to see my boy Spencer Krasner pitch in that game. Again, that was in some polls, St. John Paul II is ranked. They're highly regarded. We'll see if I rank them in my top 25 tomorrow. Again, you gotta read to see what happened there. Krasner got the call, but kudos to the hitters on the hitters on Chaminade because they came out swinging. I think they got 4 runs in the first inning. They just kind of grinded it out. Spencer seems to be really driving off energy. He's throwing a lot of emotion, a lot of energy showing there. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, 4 earned runs, but really the runs came. Now, I think he got 4 or so runs in the first inning. An out or so into the second inning, he gave up a home run to Connor Ray of St. John Paul II, but then regrouped out of that inning, and then he got 3 more runs, made it like 7-0, and then they made it 7-1. They made it like 9-1. Then he I thought the game, again, that's another thing and I asked him about, because I saw Spencer the next day, he said it didn't bother him so much sitting in the dugout, but he got like a quick out, but then his mechanics got a little out of sort, which does happen. It does happen. These kids aren't machines. It happens at the big league level as well. But they end up getting a lot of traffic on the bases and push across a few runs. But to Spencer's credit, they didn't have to come take him out of the game. He did get a double play to get out of an inning, and they ended up making that game 10-7, and Chaminade held on. They are ranked in my poll. Again, you have to read tomorrow to see where. In that game, Trace Zalman, Jake Crothers, A.J. Vargas each had 3 hits for the Lions. For St. John Paul II, Manny Lantigua, their shortstop pitcher. He didn't pitch. I wish he did because I heard a lot of good things about him. He's high up on those perfect game rankings and such. Florida State commit. I didn't really see him do much. I wanted to see him do something, hit the ball hard or, really show something, but just wasn't the type of game that he stood out, other than you could see raw talent. But I hope to get another chance to see Manny play and get a better feel. And Thomas Velarde, I got to mention him because, the beauty of Chaminade, I get great videos because the lighting's usually good. There's no glare, not shooting in the sun, and I'm not that far from the action. Now I am behind the screen, but Thomas hit a foul ball and still got the bruise on my knuckles because even through the fence, he got me. But man on second, if you're going to take a shot at the king, you better not miss. So what I do is I put that video up, got over 5, maybe 10,000 views on it. So we turn a negative into a positive here on the Man on Second channel. Another personal, Thomas, I get hit at least once or twice a game. So but not always a direct hit, but congratulations on your marksmanship because you did get me. I was joking that to some people that you're not my favorite player, but I take that back. You're doing a great job, Thomas, and I think highly of you and your team. And again, good luck to St. John Paul II, as the season goes on. But later, the beauty of that game, even though I stayed the whole game because it became a thriller, I got over to Nova in time to see Nova play Matter Lakes Academy out of Miami. And that was an exciting game, not necessarily a textbook game in terms of how crisp the play was because there's a lot of errors, misplays. But credit to Nova. Keep in mind, this team had just been no hit a day or so, a couple of days before, and they were down. It was 2-2. A guy dropped the fly ball in the outfield that would have ended an inning, but 2 runs scored that made it 4-2. And to Nova's credit, they came back and they were down 4-3. And going into the 7th, they're down. They're down by a run, and they scratched out 2 and walked it off 5-4. And the lesson on a game like that for me is it just shows the beauty of baseball, where the goats become the heroes, and on the flip side, the hero sometimes can be the goat. You might hit a grand slam in the 1st inning, be a hero, and then make an error in the 7th inning. Your team loses a game because of that error. So, in this regard, credit to the Titans. They, even though they made a lot of really bad mistakes, they were able to rally through. Jaden Delgado, he pitched, did a great job pitching. He got a nice hit, nice double, did a little dance on second. So he picked the kid off second. Angelo Rivas, he had 2 RBIs. Cody Kunka and Jordan Gonzalez also came through with big RBIs. But again, team win. Good to see the composure of the Titans. To not let their mistakes defeat them. So good game for them. And then the last game on Friday night, I saw American Heritage. It's been about 2 weeks since I saw the Patriots play. And so, it was good to go back there and see American Heritage play. And this guy might be playing the best ball in South Florida right now. Let me come back to it. It's Jordan Rich. Jordan Rich is just hitting another level in his game. Outfielder, speedster, leadoff batter, and in the last 7 to 10 days, now home run hitter, which was really the only thing that the scouts were wanting to see. His game isn't necessarily predicated on power, but obviously football player, baseball player, ridiculously good athlete, but he really drove this pitch. He's getting pitches to drive, and he's not missing. He was absolutely great against Bonita Springs. The Patriots won that game 11-4. He had a double in that game. I think he had a single and reached second on an error. So I think he was a triple shy of the cycle, but stole 3 bases, homered, threw a kid out at home on one of the more bizarre plays you'll ever see. Guys, it was like a runner on third and 1 out, and there's a fly ball to right field that would be a sacrifice fly. Dylan Dubovic, who was the starting pitcher, who started the game, but about inning 4, he went out to right field in the pitching change. He directs the throw home. Now, the throw was high and offline, and Sebastian Garavito, the catcher, kind of jumped up probably about 10 feet from the base. Had the video up there. And the kid on third kind of freezes and goes back to third. Well, there's a guy on first. He tagged and saw the high throw by Dubovic. He takes off to second. Garavito, tries to make a play to end the inning to double that kid off going to second. But his throw sails into center field, and Jordan Rich is backing it up, and he throws a bullet and a perfect strike to home plate as Garavito drift back to home, and the kid at third had tagged up by this time on the overthrow by Garavito, and Sebastian slaps the tag on him for the out. Emotional play. I know a lot of people, they love to comment. They always think the catcher interference, catcher obstruction or interference or whatever they want to call it. It's not. He had the ball before the runner came. There is a lane. The fielders, if they have the ball, now it was bang bang to get it there, but he's not obstructing him. The runner has a way of getting around him to score. So all those people, you could have your opinions. It's not clearly, it's not clearly obstruction by Garavito. It's not a run should have been there. It's for the people with those takes. Sorry, you're wrong. But more importantly, it's the good play by Douglas to execute that. But I could keep showing Jordan Rich hitting home runs, and he just got that good. And we get rid of that for now. And let's get back here as we kind of check it, yeah, to see where this is all going. Oh, also in that game against Bonita Springs, RJ Machado, Dylan Dubovic also homered. 3-homer, I think it was a fifth inning that really kind of broke that game open for Heritage. RJ Machado's having an amazingly good year. Makes good plays in the field at third. Dubovic, he's a guy who could be drafted. He's super toolsy. He hit the ball. I think he hit it over the scoreboard. The angle I'm at, I was on this open side. He normally pulls it. He took that one to right field, and if the ball just kept going, you could see the video. Just when Heritage is hitting, man, they're as good as anybody around, and that's a team it's going to be interesting to see how Douglas does against Tampa Jesuit, because a lot of people think we're going to see Jesuit and Heritage. They met up in the state championship game each of the last 2 years. In 23, Heritage won. In 24, Jesuit won. Will they each be able to get back there in 4A, 5A, 4A or 5A, whatever they're in? They were 5A last year. They might be in 4A this year. So we'll see how that plays out. Also want to note Santi Montiel. Montiel, the left-hander, really good reliever for Heritage. He came in there, inherited a mess. I think he had the bases loaded and no outs or 1 out, and really minimized damage to keep Heritage from risking blowing the lead in that game. So again, a lot of really good action. Like I said, I've seen, and we'll kind of, as we kind of get close to getting out of here, did want to talk about pitching and how these teams. It's what I'm going to be watching as these teams are watching it too. How are you going to get through in the next couple of weeks to get to the playoffs, to preserve your pitchers, especially now the regionals are going to be 2 out of 3. So you're really going to need these arms. So one of the things you got to do if you're a good offensive team, you got to do what like St. Thomas is doing, and what Heritage wasn't able to do. They were close. They were close to being able to end that game against Bonita Springs in 5 innings with a 10-run rule. It was 11-2 in the bottom of the 5th. There was a runner on third, but they were with 2 outs. They weren't able to get that run in. Had they got that run in, they would have saved 2 innings of relief arms. Now, on the flip side, you want the kids to get the innings, but you also want to preserve some of these arms as well, as you're going to need these pitchers to get you through where you want to go if you have state championship aspirations. So it's going to be really interesting how teams, you're going to see teams up by 9 runs in the 5th inning, having guys steal bases, having guys look to take the extra base. Maybe you're bunting. You're doing stuff that could be perceived as running up the score, but you can't blame teams for trying to end games early because you're saving your pitching. And the more you play, also with all these teams are playing 3 games a week anyway, because they condensed the season from the regular season from 11 weeks to 9 weeks. So you're doing this, and so I have no problem. I don't consider it bad sportsmanship. If you're on the losing end, it's kind of hard to be on that, but you got to kind of understand where the stakes of the game are right now. It's just baseball, and you got to strategically do what's best for your players and your team while keeping momentum. But clearly, we saw. I think we had the run production's way up there. I think a Pinecrest Calvary Christian Fort Lauderdale, 22-15. That's a football score. And Calvary Christian is a team that pitches really well. So Pinecrest does have some guys that can do some damage, but you're seeing scores like that, 19 runs. I'm sure no way Jupiter ever thought that, as good as even for, as St. Thomas is, that they could be on the end of it, 19 runs. So we're seeing some remarkable scores with spring break. I don't know where I'll be this week. I think I'm going to be at U School is going to play Nova tomorrow night. On Monday night, I will be there. I may end up just seeing whatever teams are in town, because I'm not going to go to Fort Pierce. I'm not going to go across the state like Heritage is and go play to Naples or Fort Myers, wherever they are, to see Bishop Verot. That's going to be a huge game. Huge game. It's going to tell a lot of where American Heritage is. Like I said, Douglas up at Jesuit, huge game to see where American, where Stoneman Douglas is, as they get into getting ready for what's going to happen in April, and then eventually they hope May, as teams look to become state championship ready. But you got to credit these schools, and I really do. All of them throughout the state, teams are not ducking good teams. This is why so many teams. You could have arguably some of the best teams in the state have 4 or 5 losses, but you can't really punish them because they're playing everybody. So you got to really commend them. It's really good. The competition is essential. It builds character. The competition builds character and just creates better people and creates a work ethic and the standard. And we applaud these young athletes for the commitment they have, and these coaches for the commitment they have, parents, for all the sacrifices they make to go see their kids and provide their kids the best opportunity to excel. But as we get out of here, we're getting out on a high, everybody. We guaranteed it. The Namath, we guaranteed 1 million. We delivered 1 million in 22 days, not even a full month. So now I guess my goal is to be about 1.3 million. I think I was about 1,040,000 without even posting much here on the Sunday. But all is well, all is good here on Man on Second. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate all the support. I'm getting more and more parents coming up to me. I really appreciate all of you, all the families, all the parents that are supporting the channel. Please like, subscribe, spread the word as we're getting the exposure. Again, big mission of this channel isn't about me building this channel. It's about me building something that's community for these players. And trust me, I have scouts asking me about players. I have colleges are checking in. So we're trying to get as many of our players notice, for the next level. Sometimes all it takes is a really good video. That's why we have not just for those who aren't paying as close attention, I'm not just throwing a video of a kid getting a routine single. That single tells a story about that kid, because evaluators, colleges, it could be a small school in another part of the country, see something in that swing that draws them to that player that could create a college opportunity. And that's what Man on Second's vision is. We're in it together. I'm looking to build the baseball community, to grow it and also kind of teach the game in my small way to the best of my abilities, to kind of spread the good word about this great game. I've done it over 20 years with, at MLB.com, and still being a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America. But with that, this is Joe Frisaro, the Man on Second Curtain Call podcast, and we will catch everyone in the next